At last, we are live from Widener Field tonight as Colorado Springs Switchbacks entertain Louisville City finally. After a couple hours, lightning delay. Welcome to tonight's broadcast presented by Fox 21. I'm Chris Whittingham, joined by Gary Bailey. And tonight it is the Colorado Springs Switchbacks looking to end a two-match winless run as they entertain the side top of the Central Division. But as we have a look here, Gary, at the Mountain Division, it's Colorado Springs 2 points off a playoff spot entering the night.
It's amazing to see it because they're such a fantastic side, and about 4 or 5 matches ago they were looking wonderful. They were near the top, but a win for them will bounce them from 6th place right up to 3rd. So 3 points tonight, vital for Colorado Springs Switchbacks. And
Colorado Springs have scored so many goals in recent times, but the last couple of matches have not quite been firing in the same manner as they were earlier in the season.
Yeah, Hadji Barry has been absolutely stunning. In the front three with Deshane, Beckford and Misha Galini, and Zach Zandy there scoring the second in that 3-2 defeat. This, I think, is the first goal. So good going forward. Absolutely no questions here. It's going to come across to Hadji Barry. He's going to try and control it, stick it in the back of the net. Yet they still lost 3-2 against San Antonio.
And meanwhile, for Louisville City, without top scorer tonight, Cameron Lancaster, where they've locked down a bit in recent times, is at the back. Only the one goal allowed in their last 2 matches.
Yeah, much better in defense with that 1 goal in 2. Their previous 2, they conceded 5. So they certainly were shipping a lot of goals, tightened up at the back, and of course, going forward, they score goals for fun, do lose City.
And kept a clean sheet last time out against Atlanta United 2. After the lightning delay in the area, we're about ready to go. It's a good crowd at Widener Field. We'll have starting lineups and first half kickoff when we come back. It's Colorado Springs Switchbacks and Louisville City, and it's next. Tonight's match is presented by Children's Hospital Colorado, as are these player walkouts as both sets of players file out onto the pitch. As we can now bring you tonight's starting lineups. Our starting 11s are brought to you by Phil Long. First, for Colorado Springs Switchbacks manager Brendan Burke, it's 4 changes from the team that lost last time out at home by 3-2 to San Antonio FC.
If you have a look, both fullbacks have changed. Tristan Hodge is in, and so is Seb Anderson at right back for Jordan Burt. Zach Zandy starts in place of Jose Torres. And in goals, have a look. Abe Rodriguez, young Abe Rodriguez, 19 years of age, is in for the injured Sean Melvin.
Meanwhile, for Louisville City and coach Danny Cruz, it is also 4 changes from the team that beat Atlanta United 2 by 2-0. The headline maker is Jonathan Gomez at left back. He is on his way to Spain at the end of the season, moving to Real Sociedad.
He's very exciting to watch. What a wonderful talent he is. Also, Patrick Maman comes in, and Brian Ownby and Kyle Gregg up front for Cam Lancaster.
And Lancaster, a player who has been a prodigious goal scorer in USL, is on 7 in 10 appearances in this season. And the season gone by, scored 12 times a year ago for Louisville, and in 2018 scored 26 goals. And is missing tonight. The native of London picked up a knock in the game against Atlanta 2. The supporters are ready to go, still in good spirits even after a lengthy delay. Matchday referee is Jeremy Shear, and will get us going here momentarily. Colorado Springs and manager Brendan Burke taking on Louisville City manager Denny Cruz. We are underway from Widener Field. For Colorado Springs Switchbacks, it was a nationally televised match on ESPN2 a week ago against San Antonio. A typically high-scoring affair. Both of these teams have had some of the most entertaining matches in terms of goals scored in the league. It's straight away an early chance. Napo Mososo trying to get the cross away from that right side. It comes off of Jimmy Ockford last and out for a corner. Well, Colorado Springs have had 45 goals in their 12 matches between the two sides. Louisville, 44 from 13. We're expecting some fun tonight, Gary.
Oh, absolutely. Fantastic going forward. Both these sides. There's that young man you mentioned, Jonathan Gomez, just 17 years of age. What a talent he is.
Moved from FC Dallas into Louisville City. Pro contract, and now is on his way to Spain. It's his cross. He's delivered in towards Zach. Back post. Header across here. Some danger. Just trying to keep it alive there is Kyle Gregg. And it's knotted out for a throw in there.
Some poor defending at the far post by Colorado Springs Switchbacks. How do you allow a free header knocked back to Kyle Gregg, who just can't quite get on the end of it? But a good start here from the visitors, Lou City.
Throw in, swung in towards Brian Ownby. Now awkwardly there away from Beverly Makangila. Did manage to clear it. Only as far though as Wes Sharpie. He's played all over that back four. Right, center, and left back. Seb Anderson getting rid. More than a few lonelies from the Colorado Rapids setup in this Colorado Springs side, including Anderson and Mayaka in that midfield area. Mayaka was on it here.
He's crucial, Seb Anderson. They missed him last match. He was suspended, and he bombs down that right-hand side, puts some lovely crosses in, had a couple of assists, 2 assists this season so far, and he'll be more than welcome back in this Colorado Springs Switchback side.
Anderson picking up a red card in their defeat away at New Mexico United, earning the 1-match suspension. He's gone off for a throw. Brendan Burke, the Colorado Springs manager, saying ahead of this one that he was anticipating an open game. Called it a wide open game that he's expecting, because Louisville do like to go away from home and play. Ball on the ground and try and attack it. When both sides are attempting to do the same thing. Interesting just how much space is open as a free kick will come here for Sean Tosh. Out of the way, that penalty area there from Matthew Mahoney. A few players in this switchback side that have some previous with Brendan Burke and his stops in Philadelphia area, at Philadelphia Union 2, Reading United as well. He's coached.
Some good high pressure here from Lou City, forcing that long ball out from Abe Rodriguez. And to be fair, the visitors have put the home side under all sorts of pressure. Switchbacks battling to get over the halfway line. Now maybe there's a chance for them to get forward.
Nice challenge there from Tristan Hodge to win it back. And now coming forward there was Haji Berry, the USL Championship's top goal scorer, and by some distance as well. He has 13 goals from this, his 13th start. It's a remarkable scoring record. He was obviously named Player of the Month in June, scoring in each of Colorado Springs' 5 matches.
And you must be wondering, how can I be the top goal scorer, 5 goals clear of Nico Brett and Solomon Asante, and yet my team is sitting 6th out of 7th? I don't get soccer sometimes, because the switchback side is so good going forward. absolutely brilliant. And yet a couple of poor results as things haven't gone their way, a couple of refereeing decisions. And here they are sitting second bottom where they shouldn't be, but they are, and they need to fight their way out of it.
It is a good division. You see a couple of sides in this format not really challenged too often, but look at that El Paso and RGV and New Mexico have played this year. It can be difficult. And they're still very much in touching distance of the postseason places. Colorado Springs, with a win tonight, they'll be level on points with New Mexico United with a game fewer played.
Yep, that's how much it can change to the positive, and yet the problem is this is Lou City. This is a team that's top of their division. What if they don't get a win, Switchbacks, even a draw, and they're sitting behind the others, they start winning and you fall further back? I mean, a team that has Hadji Barry as your top goal scorer, Mishi Galina, Shane Beckford, it shouldn't be anywhere other than near the top. Must be frustrating for their fans, and of course for Brendan Burke.
This ball there from Makangila, finding Galina on that right-hand side, just trying to take that one extra touch to get the beating of the defender Gomez, but ran out of real estate, and it's gone out for a goal kick.
And that's a player that Brendan Burke feels will be on the move sooner than later, catching the eye of not just MLS teams, but teams overseas. Lovely pace here. Look at the acceleration, and you're right, just didn't quite touch it the way he wanted to. Perhaps pressure there from young Jonathan Gomez, but Mishi Galina, a real fantastic talent that Colorado's Spring Switchbacks have in their lineup.
And a free kick to come here as Tristan Hodge was caught there by Kyle Gregg. It's gone down there. The player who was away at the CONCACAF Gold Cup with Trinidad and Tobago.
A little bit of a lunge from Kyle. Have a look there. You put your foot out there. These days, more and more, you don't want to lunge from a distance. You want to get there and just try and toe poke it away. But he's a hard player, Kyle Gregg, but a very fair player. But what good talent Lou City have. You lose Cam Lancaster, and you can bring Kyle Gregg into your attack.
And it was a perfect marriage between the two, as Gregg was without a club, and said that it was a slower offseason than he expected. A player who's got a USL scoring record, mostly with St. Louis FC. As Louisville not coming forward there, it's a poor touch there from Brian Omby, as he did all the hard work of charging forward, but couldn't quite find the pass at the vital moment.
Yeah, crucial player for Lou City, Brian Omby. So creative going forward, finds the gaps. If you look at the bench, the strength they have in depth going forward, Corbin Bone they can bring on, Hopano as well. It really is it's a wonderful Lou City side, of course set up by John Hackworth, but now under the guidance of Danny Cruz.
And Brendan Burke does actually have previous with the former Louisville City manager John Hackworth, having been an assistant for him at Philadelphia Union. But he has also complimented the work that Danny Cruz has done, carrying on here at a club now in Louisville that expect to be at the top. They've won 2 league titles. They finished runner-up the year after is some pressure there arriving at the doorstep of Chris Hubbard, and yet he's picked out a brilliant pass out towards Pat McMahon. Playing out of the Colorado Springs pressure. See both sides packing numbers forward. Masoso. And Gomez. It's a great crosser of a ball. They're playing on an artificial surface here in Colorado Springs, though it is the only artificial surface that has been approved for use by FIFA in their matches. It is of a higher quality, plays more naturally. This will be a throw in there to the frustration of Deshane Beckford.
He's a player who likes to be on the front foot. There's so much more dangerous switchbacks when you can get them on the, in the opposition half with space to run into. The pace up front is absolutely electric. And what Lou City are doing is putting them under pressure, keeping them in their half. And all the time you do that, you sort of nullify the strengths of the switchbacks.
Will be a free kick here for Louisville, who are just about controlling the balance of possession here in the early going.
McMahon, wily old character, just feels a little touch there at age 34 and thinks, no, I'll buy myself a free kick. And again, they've got the space, they're controlling the game nicely, Lose City. And they're on such a good run of form. 3 wins in the last 4, top of the table. Even if they lose this, they won't lose their top position. They're 4 points clear. So a very, very happy and confident Lose City camp at the moment.
Sharpie. Long over the top, and Mahoney will just let it run and go all the way out for a goal kick. Since 1947, Select has been the leader in soccer ball quality and innovation. Select is the official ball supplier of the USL Championship and many of the elite leagues throughout Europe. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit selectsportamerica.com.
Oh,
Yeah,
risky.
Passing in their own penalty area there from Colorado Springs, but Louisville not affording them the time or space to do so.
Oh, Abe Rodriguez just getting rid of that ball there from defense, and he had 2 Lose City players ever so close. Risky.
And Jimmy Ockford with the resilience and also probably the instruction to continue playing out from the back. But the 19-year-old Rodriguez continue. Not try and take risks and give away too many easy ones. Flipped on there from Greg, but kind of came off awkwardly. Beckford to get it away. Now Makangila, native of the Democratic Republic of Congo. This is Mishingalina. Now Philip Mayaka. Nice touch there to get away from pressure there from the 3rd overall pick in the MLS college draft to Colorado. Ooh, that's a heavy challenge in there from Tristan Hodge.
Was that late? Did he actually get the ball there?
Went over there and caught the Louisville captain.
I mean, it's lucky there's no replays, no VAR, because I'm not sure that he got any of the ball there, Tristan Hodge. He certainly got Niall McCabe. And if we see a replay, we'll be able to tell you, did he get the ball or not? Tristan Hodge winning it there, but then lunging. I don't think he got the ball, to be honest. And if they had VAR, which obviously the referee doesn't get the chance to see it, McCabe trying to explain it to him. But the tough thing for referees without VAR is you get one brief glimpse at it and you've got to make a call. Very difficult to do, and referee lets it go.
Hodge gets it away. Colorado Springs not nearly as high up the pitch as usual. Probably have to manage a game more than they usually do. McCabe. Sharpie in the middle there with Matsoso. Nice challenge in there from Mayaka, who now tries to threaten behind towards Barry. His first touch just let him down. Trying to take advantage though is Beckford. Pouncing there on the soft touch. Just about getting away with it there, Louisville, who now come forward through McCabe. Slides in a good ball for Ombias, crosses in towards that back post and over the head of Jimmy McLaughlin, who scored the 2nd goal last time out against Atlanta United 2. His first goal for the club.
That's wonderful, turning defense into attack by Lose City there. Wow, the Switchbacks were forced to scramble back and try and close the gaps.
McLaughlin's cross well over the head there of Abraham Rodriguez. Another player on loan from Colorado Rapids, has been with the club the last 2 seasons on loan. His 22nd appearance in USL tonight.
I think Abe Rodriguez there just booting that ball clear. He didn't want the ball back. There wasn't any space. He was being closed down, and I think the pressure from Lose City is forcing the defenders backwards and putting their own goalkeeper under pressure.
Throwing to come here for Colorado Springs, and it certainly is the tension at the back at the moment. Build out without their usual starter, Sean Melvin.
Let's have a look at the white shirts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in picture at the moment. They can't even breathe at the back of Switchbacks. They're being hunted down. They get the goal kick from that one. But credit Lose City, the pressure they're piling on against the home side has made it very difficult for them to play out at all.
It's one of the things that Danny Cruz has talked about, is continuing to live your identity even away from home and bringing the intensity and energy and effort that certainly the crowd at Lynn Family Stadium can provide one of the best atmospheres in USL. And you go away from home at a place like Colorado Springs, in the altitude, the stadium that is the highest in terms of elevation in all of American soccer. There's a free kick awarded there. It seems that Louisville had advantage to play, but referee Shear electing to give the free kick as McCabe was caught there.
Again and again, he's having the conversation. Problem for the Switchbacks is the referee's taking note of all of this, and it won't be long before a yellow card comes out. And again, that's the pressure Lou City are putting on them. They're going to be very careful with their tackles. Switchbacks, just, you know, absorb the pressure and slowly get yourself back in the match and start creating your own chances.
Trying to step and win it there was Gibson, but it's given away. Looked like he could jet forward there was Galina, but intervention there from Gomez. Now Anderson falling over and winning the free kick.
Clever play, Anderson. Just a subtle bump, but he went down, bought the free kick, and closed things on. I don't know why they don't lock it long, because by playing it back, they've invited the pressure again. Look at these white shirts hunting down there. A chance to knock it over the top for Hadji Barry and for the pacey guys up front.
Nice play there, though, from Hodge and Makangila. Hodge again. Didn't quite get it right that time. Winner of 22 caps for his national side is now Barry can pounce, and it's a good sliding intervention there from Tosches. Some pressure arriving at his doorstep. Had to get that perfect as well, because he's playing across his own half, and it's kind of hopeful there that Gomez would be there to respond rather than Galina, and he was indeed.
Brendan Berg just appealing for some decisions his way, but you're right. What a stretch that was from Sean Tosh, and literally got a toe to it. Sean Tosh and saved the day. Brendan Berg still complaining. He did say to us he's been unhappy with some of the refereeing decisions, and coaches always are, let's be fair, but they have had some go against them. Last match, 2 penalties against them. It has been a difficult time for them. I think the New Mexico, one before the New Mexico Real Monarchs, there was a penalty against as well, which Sean Melvin ended up saving. So he feels they haven't had the rub of the green so far. Let's see what happens tonight.
Zandy trying to play that long towards his former Philadelphia Union 2 teammate, Misha Galina. Slicing out of play for a throw. It's the first ever meeting, incredibly, between these two teams, considering they've both been in USL since 2015. And while certainly in the last couple years, given the sheer number of teams in the league, there hasn't been a lot of cross-conference matchups. You would have figured a few years earlier, when there was more intra-conference play, that there would have been more, but incredibly, these two mainstays in the USL Championship have never met before tonight.
It did surprise me, that fact. But for the crowd, it's always nice to go and see a new visiting team come along, as long as your team wins.
Of course.
That's only a problem. Last home match was that loss against San Antonio, and that would have hurt the players to lose at home. And as you say, at altitude, it should be a massive advantage for them. What is it, 6,000 feet-ish?
Yep.
You know, teams should be tiring last 15, 20 minutes.
Omby doesn't look tired as he's come forward here and has an opportunity to slide in a run. It's a good ball here for Kyle Gregg, who can measure his effort, and it's gone sailing into the stand in behind the goal of Abraham Rodriguez, but didn't really appreciate how much space opened up there for the Louisville center forward.
He's got a hit target there, Kyle Gregg. He's got space, he's got time. Omby does so well down this left-hand side. Cuts in, finds Kyle Gregg's run. Now you've got time, head up. You're under no pressure. You've got to at least make Abe Rodriguez work. Expect more from Kyle Gregg, because he's such a good striker. And yeah, if the keeper makes a save is one thing, but if you blast it over the bar, you haven't even tested the young man in goal.
Beckford. See the pressure arriving in all areas now, as conversations we had here is referee Jeremy Shear is not pleased with a few challenges coming in here. It's Philip Mayaka getting the talking to.
It's an African clash. It's Philip Mayaka of Kenya up against Masoso of Lesotho. I think he did just catch Masoso there. It was a little bit late. just caught him. He's complaining, and I think the referee's saying to Mayaka, yeah, it's twice now. You can see the two. It's twice you've been late. It's twice I've warned you. One more, and you're going to go in the book, I would think, is the summary of that conversation.
Brendan Burke not pleased with how these interactions have transpired.
I think he's frustrated because his team's battling to dominate and going forward. And again, I'm going back just a few weeks before they had this poor run of theirs. They were hammering teams, running at them. They're teams who couldn't deal with the pace, couldn't deal with Haji Barry. Instead, it's been Lou City on the attack in this match.
Tristan Hodge has appeals for handball and appears for a foul against him, not heard. Brian Omby not drawing the sympathies of the crowd. Nice touch there from Zandy away from pressure. So Anderson will come forward and try and squeeze in a good cross in towards Barry. Toast there to deal with it. Galina put some pressure on Jonathan Gomez. Just clears it into his right boot. Out for a throw. USL is committed to supporting the LGBTQ+ community through the Forever Proud project. The USL will strive to create safe and welcoming environments for all fans, players, employees, and partners. Learn more at uslsoccer.com/forwardforever-proud. Header there from Tangila. Able to settle in the penalty area there, Colorado Springs. They've not had too much of the ball in the Louisville box.
Yep, this is better for them. Got the ball in control. Now they mustn't go backwards. As soon as they do, Lou City pressure them. They've got to keep trying to go forward.
Mahoney. Nice control there from Barry. Has options either side. Tries to slide it towards Galina. Go beyond him, even if it had gotten through.
You see, that's the danger. You get Haji Barry on the ball, great first touch. Galina's running off him. That's when they become a real threat. Wonderful attacking side of the Switchbacks.
Lovely work down that far side there from McLaughlin. Play it for Gomez out of pressure. That appears to be the difference between the two sides early stages. Is Louisville are comfortable playing through pressure, and Colorado Springs have not looked it thus far, as McMahon tries to poke it behind towards Greg, and it's just a bit heavy.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. They've really struggled under pressure. Switchbacks playing out the back. Lou City have been tight, quick on them, closing them down, making it extremely difficult. And conversely, Lou City able to play through the pressure so far. But when you've got a crowd like that behind you, you can get the players fired up. And I like what Abe Rodriguez is doing here. Play it long, don't play it short. It's if you're being high pressed, knock it long and say to Haji Barry, win a couple of high balls, flick it on. Let's play in their half if we can.
You can see some of the fans looking uncomfortable with the wind in the ground. It is a very windy night. We had lightning and storms in the area. Also, poor air quality around the stadium due to the wildfires going on through the western portion of the country. As it's Anderson, left out to Galina. His cross dealt with that area by Sharpie. Deals for handball against Mayaka, but we play on. Mayaka nicely threw pressure with the ball, but couldn't quite play it with the ball through it. Covered though by Galina. Now Barry to a wide area here. Now Galina will drift through, played centrally. Anderson just trying to send it through that box, didn't quite catch it cleanly. And it's cleared there from Louisville, but now Colorado Springs attempting to find a foothold in the game. Mayaka. Hodge. We're trying to cut around the defender, but just gave it straight to Masoso. Player moved to Louisville from Lesotho, as you mentioned, where he's from, Gary. To college at Kentucky, now playing his professional football at Louisville. It's quite a story for the player.
It certainly is, and I did mention in a previous broadcast a little short geography lesson, but Lesotho is a little landlocked country in the very middle of South Africa. For those who don't know, it's up in the mountains. It's called the Mountain Kingdom. Very, very small country, but a very proud nation. And they should be proud of Masoso. What a good player he is.
Rodriguez sending it long. I think he's kicking into the wind in this first half. As this is an opportunity here as Mayaka lofted in behind. I thought Barry had timed his run, but the offside flag comes up on the far side, and you'd imagine that would have been in the back of the net if not for that man.
Very, very close, wasn't it? But that's much better from the Switchbacks. That's their strength. The strength is in going forward and try and knock those balls over the top. Give Haji Barry something to work on. Oh, if it wasn't by much. But I tell you what, moments like that, though, will have Lou City defenders a little bit worried. They'll think, you know what, we got it away with it this time. Sean Toge, Pac McMahon, Wes Sharpie, they'll think we got away with it this time, but we need to keep a very close eye on these front three of the Switchbacks.
Now Gibson. McCabe playing into a dangerous pocket, but it came off for him. It's just an extra bit of quality in the passing tonight from Louisville. It's allowed them to play through Brendan Burke's pressure. It's always a high-pressing team under him at Philadelphia Union too, but really stepped up when the overall Philadelphia Union setup was taken over by Ernst Tanner, who kind of brought a German style of pressing to the club. And Brendan Burke has very much transferred that identity here to Colorado Springs, and it's had some very entertaining games. So a very voracious forward press.
Yeah, I think their biggest problem is not going forward. It's how many goals they've conceded. Yep. 22 in total this season. That's not good enough in 12 games. If they can just keep it tighter at the back, they know they're going to score goals up front, the Switchbacks.
This will be a corner kick brought to you by Pepsi. Pepsi, that's what I like. Will be lofted into the penalty area. It's dangerous here. It lands at the feet of Ombi. Thought he might have trapped it with his arm, but it's well saved there as Masoso's follow-up effort is dragged wide. But Ombi was unmarked right in the heart of the penalty area and couldn't quite open the scoring for Louisville.
It's a very strange moment. The ball coming in from Niall McCabe. Gets to Ombi. I think he got caught between trying to head the ball or shoot. It dropped at his feet. Ideally, he should have shot with his feet. But I think he'd made up his mind to head it. Have a look here. He's trying to head a ball. I think he might get a bit of stick from his fellow players after this match when they see that. But you know, it's one of those when it comes over a whole bunch of heads, you can't always read the flight of it that clearly. And having made up his mind to head the ball, he couldn't get his head out the way, and in the end, he just fell over the ball. But a lucky break, perhaps, for Colorado Springs.
A good save as well from Rodriguez. Came out and smothered it. Did look as though he was covered behind him, but goalkeeper doesn't care about that when he gets credit for the save. As Mayaka has won it nicely on this near side, will now come forward. Barry, first time into Sandy, who just about stretched the leg out to get to it. Now Beckford. Barry wants it. Barry wants to have a go. His strike goes right into the defender. The long distance effort from Nakangila is deflected out for a corner to Colorado Springs. Have a nice cameo there.
Yeah, excitement for the home fans at last. They're pushing forward now. They've got themselves back into this match. Switchbacks, and wonder if Beckford could have gone for the line and crossed it. He's got wonderful pace. That shot blocked, and that one deflected as well, but they're looking a lot sharper up front, and that's where they want to be, the Switchbacks on the attack.
And this corner is brought to you by Pike Peaks National Bank. Bank well, be well, cheer loud. As it's lofted in towards the head there of Galena. It was poorly measured there by Chris Hubbard, but it went away from goal. If it probably goes across towards it, he really could have put Louisville under pressure there, as Hubbard didn't quite come for that corner correctly.
No, he didn't, but coming forward, I think he put everybody else off, including Galena, and that's probably what saved it for the big goalkeeper. Positive decision to come, but got to be absolutely sure when you're a keeper. Gets away with that one.
The sound to the supporter section here at Vidner Field. It's a lovely stadium in the heart of downtown Colorado Springs. Opened just ahead of the season. the ownership a little more than $40 million. When it opened, it was referred to as one of the crown jewels of the league. Lovely intimate stadium, not a bad seat in the place. Lovely vista.
Just seeing Mallorca once again being spoken to from the referee. He's got to be careful. He's already got 6 yellow cards this season. That's in second place in terms of getting yellow cards. It's not a league that you want to be top of. And Luis Fernandez of Czech Republic has 7. Mallorca and Jimmy Ockford both have 6. So Mallorca already has a bad track record with referees, and he's been warned a couple of times tonight already.
See the urgency that Brendan Burke wants his side to play with on the evidence of how quickly he wanted to get that throw in. Now it's Louisville packing the pressure. Ockford. Makangila. It's given away there by Anderson. Now McCabe and Matsoso. Brian Omby has a strike from long distance. Never going to trouble Abraham Rodriguez with a strike from that kind of range, but Louisville again forcing Colorado Springs into some giveaways.
Yeah, it wasn't the best of shot, bounced a few times. You're quite right, never going to bother a goalkeeper when it has all the pace taken out of it. But certainly it's been a better last 10 minutes for the home side. They win themselves a free kick, a cheap free kick as well. Brian Omby feels it's a little bit extreme. Is he going to get a talking to from the referee? He's going to get a yellow card. It sounds a little bit harsh for what he did there, which was but him and Tristan Hodge have been having a head-to-head, almost literally.
That yellow card has been issued to Louisville's Brian Omby. Let's have a look at it here.
It's not much, but it could be for accumulation. Referee and having given that out, then even more reason for the likes of Mallorca to be careful, because the referee has now drawn the line and said, okay, enough of all of this. And he'll be looking for anybody else who steps out of line.
That caution is sponsored by Diverse's Health, mental health and well-being for all. Remember to take a moment to breathe.
And in fact, looking at discipline, the home side have 35 yellows so far. That puts them 5th in the entire USL, so they don't have the best disciplinary record, do the Switchbacks. And Lou City are only 5 yellows behind them on 30. So both sides do tend to get stuck in. A little bit chippy so far, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that, which the crowd love, of course. But the managers don't want to see their players start getting into trouble with the referees.
Also potentially serving suspensions already. Missing Sebastian Anderson a week ago because of a red card. Certainly this season will be a big one for the Switchbacks as they move into their new stadium. Want to keep a crowd coming out. Haven't made the playoffs since 2016. Last year brought in a manager, Alan Koch, who's got a real winning record in USL, but didn't quite come off. Only won 2 games out of 16. That's given away cheaply there by Mayaka, and Hodge had to put in the challenge. And I think in breaking up that counter is going to receive the yellow card.
Yeah, just said once the referee starts, you've got to be extra careful, and Hodge and Omby have been at it. Now there's 2 players already who have to be extremely careful of their steps from here on inwards. And Brian Omby was always going to go down. The slightest touch, and he was going to get his own back.
And that yellow card is brought to you by Diverse's Health, mental health and well-being for all. So Hodge has his name taken, and now an opportunity for Gomez to swing a ball into the penalty area. The 17-year-old, originally from Keller, Texas. Gomez will send a good ball in towards Omby. Nearly follows up winning the free kick with a decent effort, but got well underneath it and sailed it to that netting in behind the goal.
A bit of a concern for the Switchbacks. You don't want the opposition winning headers in your box, and if they do, you want to make sure that you put them off to a very large degree. Not happy to see Omby get that clear a header. Once again, high press from Lou City, turnover ball.
seem as though it's not the goalkeeper, Rodriguez, who plays those long balls rather than the defenders. He will launch this time towards Barry, who's been a bit starved of it tonight. And it can all change in an instant. Mayaka. Galina. This ball into Zandy. Opportunity for Deshane Beckford to stretch his legs. Cutting inside on McMahon. Has a strong strike there and well handled by Hubbard as it took the skip bounce off the turf. Settled by the Louisville keeper.
Yeah, comfortable save. Again, I'm looking at Beckford saying, with your pace, have a go at the defense. Shooting from, 25, 30 yards, it's got to be an incredible strike to beat a goalkeeper like Chris Hubbard. But the pace he's got, and Galina and Haji Barry's ability to turn and to score, you would think they would have a run at that defense. It really does surprise me. That's not his strength, Beckford's shooting. His strength is dribbling, running at players and setting up others around him.
Challenge is coming in down that far side. Gomez getting into it. It's actually in this attempt to try and stretch to win it back that he's committed the foul rather than having been fouled. Off to Real Sociedad in Spain. Could potentially feature in their reserve team, which is managed by Xabi Alonso.
Oh, wow. The great Xabi Alonso. I always think it's wonderful when USA talent can go abroad and learn about the game from a different perspective. And Spanish football is amongst the best football in the world at the moment. Their passing is just phenomenal, and learn so much. And either make it there, and if you don't make it there, you bring all that knowledge back to the USL.
Mayaka. Gomez, in his last start, picked up a couple of assists against OKC Energy from left back. He's got 4 assists from 10 starts.
Wow.
And the 2 goals as well. He's been productive at 17. You must say one of the elements that has benefited young American players, many of whom are now getting sold, is they play in leagues like USL against full professionals, grown men. A player like Gomez has proven himself in this kind of environment and a very strong performer. Be with the club for the remainder of the season before moving permanently to Spain.
He's not the only great kid they have. They have this Joshua Winder at 16,
yeah,
the 5th youngest ever player in the USL.
This poke towards Zandy, can keep it in play. Just unable to get his foot fully wrapped around it. The masked man sees it go out for the goal kick.
I think Brendan Burke was saying that that doesn't help him with his vision, but he says he'd rather have Zach Zandy back with half vision than not at all. So that's what he feels about Zandy and what he brings to the game. He's a lovely touch on him, has Zach Zandy. Yeah, we're just talking about Joshua Winder at 16 years of age, the 5th youngest ever to play in the USL. Played in the last match against Atlanta United 2, which they won 2-0. He played 50-odd minutes in that match, so brilliant talent coming through there at Lou City.
It's really cool to see USL Academy products come through. Obviously, the MLS system has been in place for more than a decade now, and some players get sold to Europe, but such a young system like the Louisville one, attracting and producing young talent. It's quite remarkable already as Galina tries to make a drifting run between the center backs. Tosh had it well read. Barry on the follow. Lovely touches around one defender. Tries to slide it behind towards Zandy, and it just didn't quite come off. Wes Sharpie in the way.
That's better for the Switchbacks. You see what they do? Knock that ball over the back. It turns the Lou City players, and then they just pick up the loose ball, the Switchbacks, and they're on the attack, and they're forcing to, sort of mistakes from the defense of Lou City. A much better way, in my opinion, for them to play is to knock those long balls and feed off the drop downs rather than try and play out of the back where they are closed down so quickly. And again, look at the white shirts just all hovering. There's 5 of them in picture at the moment. They're going to wait now. They obviously have seen that Abe Rodriguez is likely to knock it long, so they're all backing off. But if he knocks it short, they will put that high press on them.
Louisville tonight playing just their 5th away match. There's the one caveat in their joint second best points tally in USL. Played 9 matches at home and 4 away. And the home atmosphere that they have, their new stadium in the Butchertown area of Louisville, the Lynn Family Stadium, regularly draw more than 10,000 fans a game. It's difficult to go there and take points. Louisville have done decent away from home, 6 points from 4 matches. We'll have to go on the road a bit more in the second half of the season.
I think this is a tough place to come to because of the altitude, but also because of the great support they've got, great crowd support, and coming off the back of that home loss to San Antonio, they're going to be desperate to get a win for these fans, all the Switchbacks.
McCabe trying to play it there off of target man Greg, crossing from Gomez towards that back post. Just about kept in play there by Ombi. Gets round Hodge, and it's going to be a free kick. Hodge will have to be careful as he's on a yellow card. If he doesn't earn that second yellow, he's giving away a free kick in a dangerous area.
I think we're going to see more of those two. They've had a ding-dong battle since the beginning, Hodge and Ombi. I've just got this feeling that maybe one of those two will not see out the end of this match, because the referee's given Hodge another talking to, and they're intent on going head-to-head, the two of them, both on yellow cards.
Now an opportunity for Gomez to basically have the equivalent of a corner here. I thought that foul occurred a bit more infield. But Gomez essentially setting up as though he's going to swing in a corner. 5-10 for as it is delivered in with some real pace. Nice header away. Still work to do though as Ombi tries to direct it towards goal. Came off the head of Greg and nearly fell for him. And now coming out, Rodriguez felt like he was clipped by Greg, and the referee says no. Play on, and Colorado Springs have about dealt with the danger.
Rodriguez doing well there to get on the end of that ball. I felt he was fouled as well. The referee had a lot to look at. There was a claim for a handball, and it all happened very quickly. Handball given against Michael Edwards in the last match for something similar. The referee has to be very sure it's a handball before he can give it. And Abe Rodriguez coming out, getting the ball, got a bit of a knock in the process, which normally means a free kick for the goalkeeper, but referee again deciding it wasn't the case.
Surge in the atmosphere here at Widener Field. Here's Haji Berry. Hodge. Colorado Springs insist on playing, and Berry demonstrating the full breadth of his skill set there, hitting a lovely switch to Galena. Galena now running into the penalty area at Gomez. Galena on his left, and he's hit the outside of the post with a good effort there. The best moment of the match for Colorado Springs.
How good was that pass from Haji Berry? Absolutely brilliant. He's come well deep into his own half. I pity we didn't see it there. And then he's got this pace. Galena does a little bit of a body swerve, just gets it into that near post. Not sure if Hubbard got any sort of touch on that, but when you got Galena running at you like that, you're in all sorts of trouble. Just a little step over, and in the end, doesn't seem like the keeper got a touch. It's a goal kick. But what a fantastic pass from Haji Berry.
Sweeping switch there. Ball just high in the air and then just kind of die in the wind. Lovely touches there from Mayaka. Beverly Akangila on a permanent deal from MFK Viskov in the Czech Republic, which has actually sent a fair few players to the United States. Our background is a lower division club in the Czech Republic. It's the penalty area there from Anderson. Louisville trying to come forward. Good reading of the game there from Mahoney just to sniff out the danger. Gomez is making an enterprising run forward from left back, and Mahoney just booting it into the stand.
We just saw another lovely move down that right-hand side with Galina, and who started it? Hadji Barry again. He's dropping back into midfield. He's adding an extra player there, but the ability he has to spread the ball out wide, I think he'd make a fantastic midfielder, Hadji Barry.
Ombi now trying to track it in the air and read the bounce so he can touch down to the penalty area. Did actually get something on it, but Oxford emerged with it. Manages to find Mayaka coming forward, the Kenyan. Both ACC Freshman of the Year and the All-First Team in the conference 2019 at Clemson. Onby. Good minutes here in Colorado Springs on loan from Colorado Rapids. Imagine the 20-year-old will be knocking on the door fairly soon as we're into first half stoppage time. It's brought to you by the TikTok Shop. Here's Hodge. Tosh coming forward there to play it, but went straight off of Tyler Gibson.
It's the last couple of minutes of this first half, and I just feel that it was slightly more loose City's first half, especially the first 15-20 minutes. Their high press was fantastic, and then Switchbacks decided to knock the long ball from their keeper to bypass the press, and that seemed to work quite well for them in the last 10 minutes or so. Probably been Switchbacks game, so slightly the better for Lou City, but I think it's setting it up for a fantastic second half here.
Long up towards Zandy, who's trying to read the bounce off of several Louisville defenders, and it comes wide here for Galina. Last meaningful moments of the first half. They'll have to get across the way quickly. They won't, as the referee, Jeremy Shear, has blown the whistle for halftime. That man, Misha Galina, probably with the best chance of the match for Colorado Springs. Brian Ombi had the ball popped to him from a corner down the other end. Well saved from Abraham Rodriguez. Either side, despite their prodigious goal-scoring records entering the match, are able to find the breakthrough in the opening 45 minutes as you reach halftime with your score. Colorado Springs Switchbacks 0, Louisville City 0. When we come back, plenty of reaction to that first half, and we'll take you around the league as well with some scores and some news and notes, as it's the Switchbacks in Louisville, still without a goal scored in the opening 45 minutes of play. Just a little before 10 p.m. here in Colorado Springs, as we are in Centura Health halftime, and your score is Colorado Springs Switchbacks 0, Louisville City 0. Tonight's honorary healthcare family of the game is the Ewalt family. Kelly Ewalt is a proud Centura Health partner of the Colorado Springs Switchbacks and serves Penrose St. Francis Health Services. Thank you for all you've done to help our community throughout the pandemic. The healthcare family of the game is co-sponsored by Encore Electric, along with Olson Plumbing and Heating. Our healthcare family of the game is the Ewalt family. Thank you for everything you've done on the front lines of the pandemic. So we can take a look now at what's to come for both of these sides, and for Colorado Springs, a lengthy spell on the road here, 4 out of the next 5 away from home.
Yeah, that's a challenge for the Switchbacks, and as we said, they can go into third position with a win, but they can also fall into all sorts of trouble with a loss, and in second bottom position, and with all these matches away as well. Loudon, maybe they can pick up. Austin Bowl could be extremely tricky. Memphis are desperate for points. So tough times ahead, or challenging times, should we say, rather, for the Switchbacks.
And meanwhile, for Louisville, we mentioned how many more road games they have to play, and yet they have a 3-match homestand coming up here, and some opportunities for points. A couple of matches against Sporting Kansas City, too.
Yeah, that's you'd normally look at that and say, well, those should be points in the bags, with all due respect to Sporting Kansas City, too, but against Lou City in particular. OKC could be a tricky one, and they've been in great form recently, OKC, and Tulsa's never easy.
As we are at the break here at Centura Health halftime, your score is Colorado Springs Switchbacks 0, Louisville City 0.
I am a first-generation student here at Bellevue University. I feel like if I were to have gone to a different university, my experience would have been a lot more stressful and overwhelming, because I feel like I wouldn't have gotten that personal experience that Bellevue University has to offer.
The 18, DeMarcus Sargent goes to his left, hard strike, and it's in the net, 2-1 Oakland.
Splits in another massive stop.
Shoots, deflected, and a big save from Rawls. As Asante takes this on. Oh, that's a tremendous goal from Solo.
Still scoreless here at Vidner Field, as it is Colorado Springs Switchbacks 0, Louisville City 0. Chris Whittingham and the former Manchester United goalkeeper Gary Bailey here bring you the commentary of this one, as we bring you some news and notes from around USL. Over 200 USL and team executives were in San Antonio this week for their first in-person meetings in 18 months, and some fascinating reported details. Our player of the week, presented by Clear Audio, is Solomon Asante, a goal and 3 assists for Phoenix Rising. What a player he is.
What a player, what a team. They're the sort of standard, I would think, with all due respect to everybody else. And he's probably the standard within the standard. Great touch player. I mentioned a few times, I think he's got about 14 or 15 caps for Ghana. Well, you're going to be a decent player to be an international with the Ghanaian national team, and what a credit and asset he is both to Phoenix Rising and the USL.
And they'll be featured on the next ESPN2 match, Wednesday, August the 4th, a 10 Eastern, 8 Mountain Time kickoff on that night. As you look at some scores from around the USL, starting first with last Sunday, Austin Bold beating Real Monarchs by a 1-0. But tonight, Gary, you were following the result in Charleston.
Yeah, massive match for both sides. They're both outside of the top 4. And Charlotte had beaten Charleston twice by 3-0 earlier in the season, but it turned around. The Battery got their own back. They climb up the table. Charlotte Independence beginning to drift away from a playoff place.
The other game going on right now, Real Monarchs and Las Vegas Lights level at 2. As you take a look at what's to come tomorrow, we begin at 5:30 with OKC Energy taking on Sporting Kansas City 2. These are the other matches in the western side of things. The biggest match affecting Colorado Springs, El Paso, and New Mexico from 7:30.
Wow, two teams in very good form, especially El Paso. But New Mexico United have had some great results recently and some wonderful play, particularly from Gallejo. And then have a look, San Diego Loyal up against Phoenix Rising. Who was the last team to beat Phoenix? It was San Diego Loyal.
And in the Mountain Division, it is 1 versus 3 and 2 versus 4. We'll get to that in a moment, but first a look at the Central Division. This entering the night, Louisville 4 points clear of Birmingham. You imagine they'll cruise to winning this division.
And if not winning it, certainly being second or third. They've definitely got a playoff place, and as Lou City are very capable of doing, when they get to the playoffs, that's when they really come to life. So far it's been a fantastic season, as normal for Lou City.
And meanwhile, in the Mountain Division, you see where Colorado Springs enters the night off of Austin, who will take on Rio Grande Valley tomorrow night. El Paso Locomotive will take on New Mexico, but Colorado Springs are in shouting distance.
They are. A win will take them into that third position on goal difference, but anything less, and they're outside of the playoff places.
And when we come back, we will have first half highlights and second half kickoff. Your score in Centura Health halftime is Colorado Springs 0, Louisville City 0. Tonight's halftime is brought to you by Centura Health. As Colorado Springs and Louisville City are about ready for the second 45 minutes to play. But first, we got to get to our halftime highlights. And Gary Bailey, it got started in the 18th minute. It was Louisville creating the danger down that left. Omby will slide in Kyle Gregg here, who had an opportunity to cause some problems. Instead, sends his effort into the stand.
Yeah, he got a hit target from then, had all the time in the world, and this is Niall McCabe, and this is Brian Omby again trying to head the ball that he should have hit with his foot, but it happens in a match like that. An embarrassing moment for him. Hard to see over the head of everybody else, and it comes at him. Just gets stuck under his feet.
Fair play, some improvisation to get a strike away.
Yeah.
And then Masoso's effort dragged wide. Here's a nice bit of play here from Colorado Springs. It would be Deshane Beckford who would cut onto his right, and on the one hop, Hubbard able to settle it down. And then look at this ball from Haji Barry.
Oh, I mean, that is an unbelievable pass. Galina's got the pace, and he's going to run at young Jonathan Gomez. Come inside here, drops his shoulder, hits the ball, and smacks that post.
And here are the attacking statistics. The first half possession probably favored Colorado Springs more towards the latter half as Louisville dominated early, but in the end, you can see the shots and shots on target. Not too much danger, really, for either goalkeeper.
Not too much to do. I just felt Louis City had the best of it earlier on, and then towards the latter part of the first half, Switchbacks came into it. Probably fairly even. And I think the big difference was Switchbacks just playing the long ball and feeding off Haji Barry's knockdowns, and as opposed to trying to play out from the back where they were being absolutely destroyed by Louis City. So change of tactics has worked so far.
And for Colorado Springs and Louisville City, coaches with a chance to change the game from the bench as well. Plenty of options for either side. As the atmosphere surges at Widener Field. Fair play to the fans in attendance. This match was due to kick off at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. We're nearing on 10. And only just about ready to get started here for the second 45 minutes, and still a great crowd on hand. The referee, Jeremy Shear, not really too impressed with the atmosphere. He still wants the players to be ready to kick off.
Look at those fans, absolutely brilliant. The energy, the love for the game, wonderful.
Great support here in the beautiful new Widener Field. As you're underway in the second half, it will be Louisville in the white with purple. Go from right to left. Colorado Springs in the mostly black with the hints of teal going through the shirt, going from left to right. In this second half, Colorado Springs looking to snap a two-match losing streak. Louisville looking to continue an impressive run of form. They've only lost one of their last 8. What a couple on the trot.
They're a great side, Louis City, no question about that. And I think Brendan Burke knew beforehand. He said to us, you can't make any mistakes against this Louis City side. If you do, they will absolutely destroy you. Well, so far they've got a clean sheet. They've only had 1 clean sheet all season. Switchbacks, they'll be desperate to get a second, and so far so good for the home side.
Louisville, not too many to their credit either, but did pick up one in the last match. 2-0 win over Atlanta United 2. Certainly settled down what was a difficult moment for them defensively. It conceded 10 goals in 5 matches. But only the 1 in their last 2. Louisville are a team who, when they've won USL Cup on a couple of occasions, usually get on a run of form towards the latter half of the year. A year ago, they won 9 of their last 10 in the regular season for reaching the Eastern Conference final before losing to Tampa Bay Rowdies. Of course, there was no champion crowned in the USL Championship a year ago.
And the thing for Louis City is not only are they playing well this early in the season, and I agree with you, they do tend to time their sort of peak for the playoffs, but it's their strength in depth. I mean, just looking at the bench now, you can bring on Hopeno, Corbin Bone, Paolo Di Piccolo, and of course Cam Lancaster's not available. So, you know, it's a really well-packed team is Louis City.
Nice in there for Misha Galina, but was fouled by Gomez in the run-up, and he's earned his side a free kick. kick to come here. Which is brought to you by the Joint Chiropractic. We've got your back. Seb Anderson to whip in a free kick into the penalty area. It's knotted on there from Louisville defensively away for the corner. Greg in there doing some defending.
It's a lovely ball in from Seb Anderson. It was just dying at death just between that penalty spot and 6-yard box. Dangerous one, and did well to clear that particular danger, did Lou City.
Now Sebastian Anderson will come over to take the corner. The 18-year-old swinging towards that near post, trying to direct it towards goal there. Mahoney just couldn't quite. And now Masoso laying it off there so Louisville can fully clear their lines.
Just wonder for Abe Rodriguez, we see him in goal there, and Sean Melvin coming under a little bit of criticism here and there for the number of goals conceded, 22 in 12 games. Just think maybe a good performance by Abe Rodriguez, and he might get an extended run in the team. Certainly a clean sheet will help him no end.
Makangila. Mayaka. Who looks to be one of the more promising prospects in the American game at the moment. Chance to have some experience here in USL as Barry was applying some pressure on Hubbard. You can feel Barry's goal scoring record on 13 goals, 14 starts. Everyone takes a breath, including the defenders and the fans, whenever it looks like he might be in. So you know, probably the confidence is surging through the player to bury every chance, which is probably an unfair expectation, but it's just the kind of form that he's in. Lovely touch there from Obi around one defender, tries to dink it towards Greg. Couldn't quite.
Just on your point about Haji Berry, if I was with the Switchbacks, I'd be knocking every ball to him, because he is such an incredible player and he's in such wonderful form. And next to him, he's got the speedsters of Galina and Beckford. We haven't seen enough of Beckford's pace just to make that point again, but they are so quick. I'd be wanting to get everything to my front three as quickly as possible. They're just fantastic going forward, which again is why when I look at the table and see them 6 out of 7, I can't believe what I'm looking at. It doesn't do them justice of how good a side the Switchbacks are.
An opportunity to get forward there for Beckford. His cross was a decent one, but no one really making a charging run through that penalty area to meet it. Into that kind of area, about 6 or 7 yards from goal. Would expect attacking runners. Now Colorado Springs with a chance to press forward here. Greg wasn't going to get pulled through either direction. He loves to do that target man center forward work. Did so much of it in St. Louis for 3 seasons.
Does it so well. Wins the free kick, and if he wasn't going to win the free kick, he was going to bring the ball down. It's a very quick and easy route out of pressure, knocking that high ball to Carl Gregg, and it works so well.
Beckford trying to apply some pressure there on Sean Tosh, and it's yielded as his pass was wayward. Mayaka. Matthew Mahoney, also with Colorado Springs manager Brendan Burke at Bethlehem Steel, before they became Philadelphia Union 2. Now Perry trying to get the beating there of Sharpie for pace. Couldn't quite. I'd say the Louisville defense has done well to limit the damage of Haji Berry's. Another coming together on the near side as Anderson, a bit of a coming together off the ball there.
I wonder if the referee will come back to that and have a chat with Anderson when this play comes to an end.
Now McCabe. Be in a good pocket of space here. He's trying to dink it towards himself. He does manage to get the touch away. Tries to slide it towards Greg, who's just a bit flat-footed. See, Ombia, such a smooth operator in those tight spaces. He's on it once more. Try and cut inside. Dinking it towards Kyle Gregg, whose strike is well impeded there. It was Anderson across to put in the challenge.
Wow.
It's gone out for a corner, but lovely work from Omby.
Fantastic challenge from Anderson there. Brendan Burke's not happy about something, but he was in with a great chance. Carl Greb was just lining that up, could see the whites of the goalkeeper's eyes, and then his shot gets blocked. But you're quite right about Brian Omby. He's the one creating the opportunity on the edge of the box. Have a look here. Has a little run, head up. He's looking for someone to play it to, and Carl Greb got it. And just as he rifles that one, fantastic challenge from Seb Anderson.
Burke has cut a frustrated figure in that technical area as Gomez's corner is swung towards the far post. Taking it down there, Sharpie. Now again, Sharpie to send the cross in. Nodded across. In there was McMahon, and it's gone flashing across the face of goal there, and Rodriguez marshalling it out of play.
That was a brave header from McMahon. I thought for a second there was going to be an awful clash of heads. But again, this ball's knocked to the far post. Have a look here. The marking at the back by the Switchbacks is a little bit poor. Just too easy for that ball to get knocked straight back in. And McMahon heads the ball. At the same time, you can see him just preparing for a clash of heads, which fortunately doesn't come.
There's actually two defenders combining there. Tosh nodding it across there for McMahon. That, by the way, is a McDivitt law firm corner. We are in your corner. It's a free kick here, and now a conversation to be had as well for Pat McMahon. And it's going to be a yellow card as well for the Louisville right back. As we receive word that a triple change is coming here for Louisville City just 10 minutes after the restart. Henning Cruz spotting something he wants to affect.
Could be something to do with the altitude as well and fresh legs. He might have said to him, just give me 10 minutes after half-time and then I'll sub you out. I expect the same for the Switchbacks, especially in midfield, that they'll bring on 2 or 3 of their players who are available, the likes of Jose Torres, Andre Lewis, Yaya Torre. Fresh legs in midfield will be absolutely crucial in this game.
It's poked wide here. Galena switched flanks, but he was offside. That yellow card given to Pat McMahon was brought to you by Diversis Health, mental health and well-being for all, as we can now have the triple changes coming on. Paulo Del Piccolo, Antoine Openo, and Jorge Gonzalez. Masoso will make way for Del Piccolo, who actually has something of a homecoming tonight. He grew up in Wheat Ridge, Colorado, which is about 70 miles north of Colorado Springs. All told, there's about 40 family members in attendance. We'll get to see him come on here. Surprising that it's McLaughlin, excuse me, make way. I thought it was Omby who was going to come off. Now Openo on it, and it will indeed be Omby who comes off. So his night is done. He's been the creative inspiration, but see a trend there in both wingers coming off. You'd imagine it's a fair bit of running and pressing for them to do. So perhaps, as you mentioned, Gary, just the preservation of legs. And these substitutions are brought to you by the William Hybl Sports Medicine and Performance Center. Learn more at hybelcenter.org. Hodge just boots it into the stand. Gonzalez, a player, see the confirmation of that change that Louisville have a lot of hope for. He's dealt with injury after tearing a muscle in his groin in preseason. He's made a couple of cameos on as a sub on loan from Portland Timbers, but the Spaniard, there's a fair bit of expectations on him in terms of what he can bring. A dynamic player in training, but now carried out onto the pitch as McCabe is slid in there, lofted into the area, going up. There is Gonzalez from the bench. His header gone wayward as Del Piccolo sends it back. This time it's Greg who's gone up, and it did take a deflection on its way through, and it will be a corner to Louisville City.
Well, now that threat up front has been doubled by an extra big man, and you can see more balls are likely to be thrown into that box. Another opportunity, another way that they can play this wonderful Lou City side. They can also play that direct ball into the box now and get the big man on the edge of, on the end of those crosses. So big worries, big concerns here for the Switchbacks.
It is a McDavid Law Firm corner. We are in your corner. Gomez stood in front of the McDavid corner. Is this lofted into the penalty area, punched away there from Rodriguez. Openo to pick up that second ball and send another bit of service, strongly headed away there from Mahoney. Now Gomez actually going to try and cut in field and have a strike. It's poked off him, and Barry is backtracked to win the ball back for Colorado Springs. Switchbacks unable to keep possession though. So we'll come here for Gonzalez. Now McCabe. Stayed back, defending from the potential counterattacks from the corner. Now Del Piccolo. To a nice pocket here for Gomez. And Openo's first time left-footed cross comes through. Is a strong effort there from Gonzalez. Just couldn't quite get purchase on the header. It's gone flashing wide for a goal kick, but had a couple of bright spots since coming on.
He certainly has. Big, tall, brave, and strong. And you know, for a defender, and all of a sudden everything changes. You're not just got one big guy to watch, you've got two of them, and the balls are being whipped in, and that seems to be the signal. Now I'm assuming that Brendan Burke will be thinking, well, what do I do to respond? What changes do I make? How do I put Lou City under pressure? And I'll wait to see what his moves are going to be.
Greg trying to slide it up towards McMahon, but leave way too much for him to do. It's recovered by Galena, who has switched flanks here with Shane Beckford in this second half. Barry. See, he's not just a poacher or just a goal scorer, although if that's all he did, he certainly does it wildly effectively, but he will come back and settle his touches well and help in the build-up.
Well, he's wonderful in midfield. It reminds me a little bit, and I'm not doing a comparison, don't get me wrong, but Lionel Messi does the same thing. He's fantastic up front. He comes back and you think, wow, he could be the best midfield player in the world as well. Well, when Haji Barry comes back, he could be the best midfield player on this pitch. That's how good he is with some of his passes.
Here is another opportunity for him to do so. Fires a nice pass to Beckford. We'll run here at Gomez, tries the early cross, comes off the back of the 17-year-old. Now Sebastian Anderson lining up the cross. Just overhit it. In a decent spot, but Galena had come crashing towards the near post. It will come out for a throw. Can't watch the match? Turn on Sirius XM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source of soccer radio, featuring Ray Hudson, Tony Miola, Rodney Marsh, and USL All Access with Mike Watts and Devin Kerr every Tuesday night from 7 Eastern. You can also hear live action from the USL, MLS, the Premier League, and more, all on Sirius XM FC 157 and the SXM app.
Just looking at Makangila, he could be one of the players to come off. You would think him and the likes of Mayaka, who put in a real shift in midfield, worked so hard, the pair of them. I just feel maybe some fresh, creative legs in Jose Torres, and Andre Lewis might be a good option.
Here is Mayaka. So onside of the boot ball there to Makangila. That build up couldn't quite measure correctly though towards Beckford. Switchbacks do go again though through Hodge. Mahoney. Header one there from Sharpie. Gonzalez couldn't quite keep it in play. Barry trying to flick it in behind. I'd say Gomez has been asked to do a fair bit of work from left back and has been up to the challenge.
It's fantastic what he does for a 17-year-old. The ability that Jonathan Gomez has is amazing and is an awesome talent. But then we have Seb Anderson on the other side at 18. Abe Rodriguez in goals for Switchbacks at 19, also having fantastic games.
Sharpie about dealing with the danger there as Zandy was on to him. Lovely reading the game and a better touch from Mayaka. to win it back for Colorado Springs. There's Tristan Hodge. Started in the 0-0 draw for Trinidad and Tobago against Mexico at the Gold Cup. One of the shock results of the group stage. Now Gomez and Beckford have a few words.
It's a little bit of a chippy game, although to be fair, the referee hasn't had to speak to the players for a while. They've generally sort of calmed down. I think they all realize they don't want to get themselves into hot water with the ref.
Laid off there for Hodge, who couldn't quite keep it going. Now Louisville breaking through Gibson. And McCabe charging into that space. Trying to slide it towards Gregg, just couldn't quite get there. I wonder if those are the sorts of moments and movements where Louisville do miss. Cameron Lancaster just has such a nose for goal and the spots to be in.
Absolutely. Any team's going to miss Cameron Lancaster. And
well, now an opportunity here. Just as we say that they're missing a goal scorer, really creating a goal-scoring chance. Defending, though, deal with the danger by Switchbacks FC.
That's what they do so well, Lou City. They do create opportunity around the box, and they do run at you, and they look for runners as well. It's not that Carl Gregg's not a good striker, it's just that Cam Lancaster is just a fantastic finisher of the ball. Takes
now, Makangila is going to get a yellow card here as he was put in a bad position there by Haji Berry. He had to put the challenge in, and Gonzalez caught him and draws a booking from the referee, Jeremy Shear.
Let's have a look at it again. Takes the knock, and I'm just guessing that he's one of those players that will come off in a few minutes. He maybe feels that he can take the yellow. And if there was a time for Brendan Burke to make the change, it would be soon, before he has to make any other difficult tackles. That's the thing, Lou City run at you. They force you into commitment, and they look for little gaps and little runners, and that's what makes them such a dangerous side.
Now free kick here for McCabe. And that will be a yellow card, sponsored by Diversis Health, Mental Health, and Well-Being for All. That one assessed to Beverly Makangila. Deliberating rather over this delivery. She squares it onto that right-hand side, off it towards the back post, and it's well overhit there. And that set-piece routine just not quite coming off. United Soccer League, all 31 championship clubs and its players stand together in support of diversity, inclusivity, equality, and compassion. For more information on the USL's commitment to change, to the United Against Racism campaign, visit uslsoccer.com. Switch there for Mayaka. Galina. Poke it there towards Barry. White come off for him. A bit of dynamism missing in the Colorado Springs Switchbacks attack tonight.
Ooh, better be careful.
Yeah, we'll have to be careful. Just picked up that first yellow. Yeah. Wouldn't want to make it a second so quickly as Makangila caught McCabe. I think that's exactly what the referee's going to say to him right now.
This is a good time for Brendan Burke to go, you know what, I need to freshen up the midfield, and he's put in a good shift, Makangila. I'll get him off very, very quickly, because that was, I think the referee sort of thought it's a second yellow. If he didn't have the yellow, he would have given him one now for the contact. I didn't see that much, to be honest, but it can also be given for repeated offending.
Yeah, but also just the nature of the challenge as well. It's a bit clumsy, wasn't it?
It was, and looking at Brendan Burke thinking now would be a good time to get him off.
As Anderson is forced to concede the throw. Gonzalez trying to apply that forward pressure. Gomez into Gonzalez. He's gone down under the weight of the challenge from Sebastian Anderson. It will be a free kick in a fairly dangerous area here. You can see how quickly Gomez spots it down and wants to swing it across in this kind of position.
Cross now with Gomez along with Gonzalez rather, with Kyle Gregg, the two of them in that box. That's a big threat there for Abe Rodriguez, and he's busy organizing his wall and will be keeping an eye on the two big guys.
And it looked like Gomez fancied it, but it's McCabe who will step over to take it. Rodriguez getting his two-man wall set. There's a lot of space to his right that he would have to cover. What will McCabe do with it? He'll try and send it towards that back post. Rodriguez out and gets a strong punch to it through traffic. Now can Colorado Springs play the next passes? Hodge bungled over there by Openo, and it will be free kick. And the assistant referee, I don't think was too pleased with how Openo spoke to him.
He wasn't.
He's asked for the referee just to go over and have a word.
I think he has, and Openo's silly if he gets a cheap yellow just for arguing with the referee. By the way, great punch from the young 19-year-old goalkeeper Abe Rodriguez under a ton of pressure. Some really big guys came in there and they absolutely clobbered the keeper. Got up, got on with his job, and well done, the keeper.
As you mentioned, Gary, potential for a yellow card there, and indeed the referee backing his assistant and awarding a yellow card for dissent there to Antoine Openo. And there's another yellow card brought to you by Diversus Health, mental health and well-being for all.
The thing is, we call it a cheap yellow. It's one you don't have to give away, and isn't another yellow coming out here?
And it's Mayaka who's in the book again, a 7th time on this season. He's had his name taken.
He's up there with a record number of takes this season. 7 is the record, and now is even better time to make the subs, Brendan Burke, because you've got two players. If they do anything else wrong, you wouldn't be surprised if the referee sends them off. That arm out there he didn't mean to do anything, but when your arm is out and you're backpedaling and you're looking for the player and you catch him in the face, well, chances are you will get a yellow.
And that caution is sponsored by Diversus Health, mental health and well-being for all. Remember to take a moment to breathe. Let's see, both sets of players probably could heed that message in the moment.
Yeah, well, we said earlier on, these teams, especially Switchbacks, have got more yellows than most teams in the USL, and this game has been fairly chippy. They've had a real go at each other, which is great to see, but it's just bordering on the point of somebody doing something too much and getting sent off.
That time, Mayaka and Gomez involved. Referee allowing play on as it's a throw-in taken quickly. Mahoney clear. They're trying to let it run, but no one there off the back side of it to get possession there for Colorado Springs. Del Piccolo. Openo has to go towards the byline and get round Hodge, who's done well just to stick himself between the ball and the player and also win the free kick for getting knocked over.
That's good play from Tristan Hodge, and here come those changes that we thought would come on.
But not the player you thought it would be, and it's Sandy who will come off. Of course, dealing with that injury. So it's Andre Lewis who will enter, the 26-year-old Jamaican who's won 3 caps for his home country. His 2nd season with the club. Not too many returners. And the change in manager, as that substitution is brought to you by the William Hybl Sports Medicine and Performance Center. Learn more at hybelcenter.org. So it's Andre Lewis who will come on here. Looks like we'll play pretty close here to Haji Berry, almost as a second forward rather than where Zandy was playing as a number 10 third midfielder. Gonzalez trying to emerge from pressures, being pulled there by Anderson. Gibson. Too much of the game has gone through him. He's had to do a lot of defensive work, but in these wide areas where Louisville have attacked, as they do here through McMahon. Squared for Del Piccolo. Wheat Ridge, Colorado. Now the cross swung in. McCabe was there, but out popped Mahoney to deal with it. Nice touches there from Gomez. Away from pressure into Gonzalez. It's a lovely 1-2. Gomez now squares it and it's turned in. Lovely work there. It's the 1-2 that sets up the chance for Antoine Opino, who gets his first goal in 2021, and it's Louisville who find the breakthrough on 73 minutes.
That's fantastic play by Lou City. Absolutely brilliant down that left-hand side from the youngster Jonathan Gomez. Lovely 1-2, gets in the box. He makes it all happen with his pace. Puts a beautiful ball in for Opino. Good turn here from Gomez. Plays the 1-2, gets it back. Has the pace to get ahead of his defender. Puts in the ideal ball there for Opino, who's got to tap it in the back of the net. Credit also to Jorge Gonzalez for making the 1-2 there. But it was coming. They've been playing some lovely football, Lou City, and eventually they get the breakthrough.
His second full season after joining in a trade from Tampa Bay Rowdies. A big contribution from the bench. And we should say all three passes in that move were sensational. Both ends of the 1-2 and that low cross. For Jonathan Gomez, it is a 5th assist of the season. And this is 11th start.
Wow, what a lovely young talent. But the way he did it, the smoothness of playing the ball, getting it back, the first touch, head up, finding the man in the middle. That's all quality play, and from a man as young as 17-year-old. That's brilliant, but it's tough for the Switchbacks, and once again they're staring down the barrel of a game in which they've had opportunities. You think, well, they're good enough to score goals, but they've really struggled up front to put Chris Hubbard under any sort of pressure. And with the wonderful front three they have, they're once again facing a poor result.
There is Brendan Burke, who had his side surging through June and July, at one point winning 4 out of 5. Now hitting a barren run of form.
Yeah, they've only had 3 wins from 4, and they've conceded 9 in those 4 games.
Towards Beckford, squared here for Haji Berra. The offside flag came up against him. It was tricky feet just to get the strike away, but it was offside against Colorado Springs. As we enter the final quarter of an hour, home side will now go and chase that equalizer. For the W, starting next spring, the USL W League, providing increased equity and opportunity for women looking to pursue careers in soccer, both on and off the pitch, comprised of clubs from across the Championship, League 1, League 2, and new expansion markets. The W League is set to begin playing more than 30 communities across the United States. Head over to USLWleague.com to learn more.
I was just wondering if they get another clean sheet, their second of the season. Switchbacks, and it hasn't happened. And that's been their main challenge this season, is they're always going to score goals, you would think. They need to also not concede them at the back. But to be fair, it's a lovely, lovely build-up from Lou City, and now need to get some fresh legs on and have a real go for the last 15 minutes.
And here is one way in which they will try and do so. Beverly Makangila, who's on a yellow card, who will make way. And on comes Yaya Toure, who actually made his Colorado Rapids debut last weekend. The 17-year-old returning briefly to the club now, getting some more experience here at USL level, as that change is brought to you by William Hibble Sports Medicine and Performance Center. Learn more at hibblecenter.org. As Colorado Springs have won a throw-in deep in the Louisville end. Louisville will try and sit in here to hang on to their result and get a second clean sheet in as many weeks. Here's Toure. Dantuma Toure, his given name, but goes by Yaya,
Well,
much like the
very famous player, you're going to
Manchester
say.
City legend.
And ex-Barcelona.
As Barry playing a
Ooh.
great cross in, and it was Toure who was closest to it. Just couldn't quite get there.
What a great turn and pass there from Hadji Barry. Absolutely fantastic. The awareness, knowing where the players were from his own team at the far post, and just maybe hits it a bit too hard, or either way. The best opportunities are being created by the top goal scorer, Hadji Barry. Whenever he gets on the ball, you think something can happen. And there is the man Yaya Toure, named after one of the all-time great midfielders.
It's a heavy coming together there between Greg and Mayaka. And now Greg, the latest player to have his name taken.
A little bit too much shoulder in that one.
Referees had a lot to do tonight. 7 yellows in total, 4 for Louisville. A little extra forearm shove through the end of that aerial duel.
I think that's what you expect from Carl Gregg. He's a 100% player, gets stuck in, very physical player. It's what he brings to the party. But again, got to credit Danny Cruz. He made his substitutions. He put an extra big man in the middle with Jorge Gonzalez, and suddenly they were on the front foot with their players with fresh legs, and it got them the result they wanted, the goal that has them in the lead.
Gonzalez does manipulate his way through traffic there. And that yellow card, by the way, is brought to you by Diverse's Health, mental health and well-being for all. It's poked out for a throw. And now another change here is Akil Watts will enter here for Pat McMahon. And so Watts will slot in at right back, where he started a week ago. The 21-year-old from Fort Wayne was coached by John Hackworth at the U.S. residency. Well, second, the change was not yet fully come to bear. Now McMahon will, I believe, walk off of the nearest section, which was a recent FIFA law. That substitution is brought to you by the William Hibble Sports Medicine and Performance Center. There from Gibson. Now Mayaka sees an opportunity to press to win it back, and he's done so. Slide it here for Galina. Mishi Galina to try and pick out a cross. They'll tease Gomez, will go byline, instead pull it back here. Opportunity for Toure, who just slices across the ball. And it's gone sailing out for a goal kick. Good bit of patience there from Galina, which he's demonstrated on a couple of occasions. Able to do much with it there. As now Darren Yappy will enter, 16-year-old Valley Ranch, Colorado, on loan from Colorado Rapids. Jump in there. As is Deshane Beckford, who will exit.
It's been a bit disappointing for me, Deshane Beckford, because he has such ability when he runs at teams, but he hasn't done much of that tonight. And by the way, on the other side, we haven't seen much of Galina either, and the main reason is because Jonathan Gomez has had him wrapped up. Mishin Galina is so quick, but we've seen nothing of him going forward barely, except one moment in the first half where he hit the post, and I think that's all because young 17-year-old Jonathan Gomez has just been too quick and too tight on him.
I think that's why they tried to have him switch flanks in this second half, was that Galina can perhaps have a run at McMahon, but what a performance from Jonathan Gomez.
Wonderful.
Have an incredibly talented attacker in Galina in your pocket on one end, and get the assist for right now the go-ahead goal down the other, and created a few other chances as well.
And it was a proper assist. I mean, he made it happen. He put it on open-nosed toe 2 yards out.
Galina trying to run off the shoulder of Sharpie there, but Ball for him, just a bit too heavy. Claimed there by Chris Hubbard. To be fair, not had a ton to do to earn this clean sheet as yet.
Has he had a proper save to make in the entire match? They've hit the post, but other than that, I don't think he had too much to do.
Did have the effort from Beckford that skipped off the turf and
yes, that's right.
settled into his.
If you call that a shot.
Yeah. Here's Lewis. Now Tristan Hodge trying to get the crossing in. Has numerous occasions tonight. It's just a bit heavy at times from wide areas.
Lacks quality, doesn't it? It shouldn't be that difficult for a player as good as him, an international player, to get that ball into the danger area. And Brendan Burke must be so frustrated with his team. Normally so good in attack, they've struggled. Haven't been able to keep a clean sheet, and this will be the 4th loss in 5 straight matches, should it remain this way. And they'll be stuck in that second bottom position in the table. Again, it doesn't make sense when you consider how awesome their front three is and how incredible Haji Barry has been this season.
They had 1 game in hand or 2 games in hand on the teams above them. This would represent one of them. Unable to take advantage at home tonight. See a measure of frustration. Stands here at Widener Field.
Be 2 losses back-to-back at Widener Field, and oh, the fans are still there, they're still supporting, and they've, as you mentioned earlier, they stuck around for 2 hours while the lightning passed. And I mean, it takes a lot to be a fan, to stick around and wait and then still support your team when they're struggling. Great fans.
As it's deflected to Rodriguez. Here's Lewis. Mayaka hits a nice switch towards Anderson. Anderson trying to poke it towards Yappy in the penalty area. See Colorado Springs with plenty of numbers forward now in an attempt to create the chance just beyond Lewis there. That bending ball from midfield just didn't quite come off. And another goal kick here is now another Louisville change. Alexis Suwahi will enter.
Carl Gregg coming off after putting in a really good stint. The referee's making sure he doesn't waste any time in getting off.
Louisville earlier in the half making a triple change, so this their 5th sub and 3rd substitution window. And that is a sub brought to you by the William J. Hibble Sports Medicine and Performance Center. Learn more at hibblecenter.org.
This has been a really good performance by Lou City. At 0-0, they made the changes, they got the breakthrough, they changed the way they were attacking with 2 big men. They put a bit of extra pressure on that allowed Jonathan Gomez to push up a bit higher and get that lovely 1-2 with big Jorge Gonzalez. And in the back, they've given Colorado Springs Switchbacks absolutely nothing. Chris Hubbard hardly had a save to make. Sean Tosha just marshaled that back 4 along with Wes Sharpie. And wow, what can you say about Lou City? Just, it's been a perfect game for them, and another incredibly frustrating loss, if this result stands, for this multi-talented Switchbacks team.
Matthew Mahoney. Nice touch there into space there from Galina. In a cut inside. Misha Galina's left-footed effort is squeezed in beyond Hubbard. The first major save he had to make, and he spilled it, allowing Misha Galina to flip his way into an equalizing goal.
Great finish, but you're quite 100% right there. Hubbard should have done better. His hands were there. He could have pushed the ball around, but at last, and it has taken a long time, at last we're seeing Galina have a run at the defense. Have a look here. He goes, cuts inside. He keeps on going. Has a dip. Goalkeeper goes down. It's a standard save for Hubbard, and he knows that he drops his head to the ground straight away, but it wouldn't have happened if Galina hadn't have run at that defense and taken that strike. And that's what he hasn't shown us for this entire match, but he pops up just at the end, and the crowd are buzzing, and have we more in the last couple of minutes?
And for Misha Galina, you do give credit to him for not only getting into the position to strike, but putting a fair bit of power behind it, forcing Hubbard to make a strong-handed save, but it's certainly what he'd like to have back.
Oh, absolutely. Another yellow card out.
Yep.
And we might still have some drama in the last few minutes. But well done, Switchbacks. I was just writing them off saying it could be another loss. And they've kept going, and they've shown what they're capable of. That pace, that is their big strength, running at defenses.
Not sure a company has gotten more value for money than Diversus Health. Mental health and well-being for all. Remember to take a moment to breathe. It's our 8th yellow card of the match. Unfortunately, no one heeding the warning to take a moment to breathe. As that time it was Andre Lewis having his name taken. And now an opportunity here from a set piece for Louisville to perhaps climb back into the lead. Now McCabe over it. Lofted towards that back post. All handled there by Rodriguez, who's played well tonight. Just his second start of the campaign. Bit of a back pass there from Lewis. Now here's Galina again with Barry. Sebastian Anderson. Is there a breakthrough for either team to perhaps nick all 3 points from our current deadlocked position? Gomez. Try and slide it down the line so that Jorge Gonzalez can stretch his legs. Gomez also with a lung busting run through that box. Del Piccolo didn't see the speedy covering defending there of Toure, who now carries on at full stretch. Yaya Toure. Galina and Barry having a go. Perhaps just feeling the heat of that counter breaking there.
Get a bit of an adrenaline rush there,
yes,
and try to bang it in from 30 yards out, but a little bit of life, a little bit of extra life, and it's just given something to the crowd to get excited about, and something we just really didn't see enough of this from the Switchbacks. As I said from the very beginning, they're wonderful going forward, and I know you have to defend sensibly, so you have to balance it, but when they're on the front foot, they are just one of the most exciting teams to watch.
We're into stoppage time, brought to you by the TikTok Shop. A minimum of 4 minutes to be added on for either team to find the breakthrough. And I believe Brendan Burke was just shown a yellow card by our referee, Jeremy Shear, a 9th of the match. And Brendan Burke is really frustrated with the matchday referee, Jeremy Shear, really from minute 1.
He should be a little bit happier now. He's got an equalizer. I'd have been even more annoyed if I was him at 1-0 down. But look at the fans. They appreciate the effort of his team to get back on level terms against one of the leading teams in the divisions. But there's still a couple of minutes left.
As Gomez sends it through that penalty area, but it does come off of Yappy last and out for a corner. That yellow card to Brendan Burke. It's brought to you by Diversus Health, mental health and well-being for all.
Oh, Diversus Health. I think I'll be able to read that. I'll remember everything you've said.
To take a moment to breathe.
Yep, take a moment to breathe. Can't forget that now for the 8th time tonight.
McDivitt Law Firm corner to come. McDivitt Law Firm, we're in your corner. It's taken short with McCabe. His cross towards that back post, lining up the header with Sharpie. Rodriguez is well behind it. You can see the urgency. Perhaps just a bit too urgent there as he tried to start the counter by throwing it out. And he's bailed out, though, by the poor touch of Sharpie, who takes it out for a throw-in. can appreciate that Colorado Springs want to get on with it and win the game, but
it was a little bit risky there from Abe Rodriguez. And here they are pushing forward. The fans are behind them, and this has been a wonderful finish to the game, and a credit to both sides. They're two really good attacking sides, and talent up front. Maybe we haven't seen what Switchbacks are really capable of, and we haven't had Cam Lancaster for Lou City either. But nonetheless, those that we have seen have put up a really good battle.
Yapi getting into that challenge around Gomez and around Openo. His low delivery is cut out there by Sharpie, but a good run there from the 16-year-old Darren Yapi. Tries to backtrack. He's going to throw into Louisville. It is indeed off of Mayaka. You frustrated with the official. Now, Colorado trying to delay the throw in here for Louisville with a minute remaining in the minimum of 4. Throw in there by Mahoney. Toure. Lewis found from behind. We'll try and get on with it. Colorado Springs also taking a bit of time here just to make sure that if this is a last stand attack, they're not getting hit down the other end. Big switch there from Lewis. Galena will take down the bounce and run here to Akil Watts. In the final minute, is there a winner in it here for Colorado Springs? Certainly that man could provide it. Barry for Anderson. His strike, did it come off a teammate? Off a Lou City player consulting with the assistant. It is a goal kick for Louisville City.
I think he was trying his luck there, Seb Anderson. It came off his player, no question about it, but he was just hoping he might get a last second corner. And you know what? A draw, probably a fair result. Both sides have been really good. They've been solid in defense. Switchbacks may be a tad lucky that the Hubbard error got them back in the match, but I think it's been a wonderful night's entertainment from both sides.
And there is the full-time whistle. Colorado Springs and Louisville City sharing the point on this night as the opener from Openo equalized by Galena. It's finished Colorado Springs Switchbacks 1, Louisville City 1. As we get into our man of the match, the votes are in. The Better Business Bureau man of the match is Mishi Galena. It had to be, given that he scored that equalizing goal for Colorado Springs. Read verified customer reviews and check business ratings at bbb.org. What did you make of his performance tonight, Gary Bailey?
Yeah, not as good as I have seen him, because he didn't run at them often, and when he did at the end, he got that goal. He has so much pace. He is so scary for defenders, and I'd love to see him just get his head down and go a lot more often. We didn't see much of him, but the moment he did shine was the moment that made all the difference. So well done, Mishi Galena.
As long as we're talking about it, let's get stuck into our critical moment of the match, which is brought to you by Centura Health. Here is the equalizing goal on 87 minutes.
It's a ball he gets sort of 35 yards out, has a go, they back off him, and he keeps going, gets himself in the end of the inside the box, left foot strike. Look at the pace, they can't catch him, hits it, and Hubbard totally messes up the save, which for a goalkeeper as good as Hubbard should be a reasonably comfortable save. He knows it. His fellow defenders look at him, Hubbard, but all the other focus turns to Galena. His celebration is brilliant. The goal is absolutely critical.
And that is our critical moment of the match, brought to you by Centura Health. It's finished Colorado Springs 1, Louisville City 1. More full-time reaction on the way. at full time on our broadcast presented by Fox 21. And it is Colorado Springs and Louisville City sharing the spoils tonight at Weidner Field as it's finished 1-1 at the end of the night as we can get stuck into our full-time highlights. And Gary, let's run through the goals. First for Louisville City.
Well, this is a lovely ball in here, and it gets knocked out. And once again, it's that high press, high pressure from Lou City. Enough white and blue shirts in particular. Jonathan Gomez plays the 1-2 there with Jorge Gonzalez. But then look at the way he puts that ball on the Hopono's toes. Hopono doesn't have to do anything. Wait for it to come, tuck it in the back of the net, and Lou City 1-up.
The weight on the pass from Jorge Gonzalez is perfect. On this artificial surface, you've got to get it spot on, and he absolutely does. But just as things are looking a bit hopeless for Colorado Springs, they find the equalizer.
Yeah, Galina turning 35 yards out, runs at the defense. They back off. He keeps going. He gets inside the box. He hits it. It should be a comfortable save for Chris Hubbard. He messes it up, and Switchbacks get the goal they've been searching for.
And it is Mishi Galina's 4th goal of the year. He's got 4 goals and 6 assists in the campaign. And perhaps with a bit of a helping hand there from Chris Hubbard. And here are full-time stats after this one. And you thought this was a fair result on the balance of play?
Yeah, more or less. I thought Lou City were the slightly better side, and then we'll look at the goal and think that shouldn't have been allowed in. They've had more shots on targets. A target, double the number, 4-2. In the battle for yellow cards, it was close. But overall, you know, I think it's a fair-ish result. Switchbacks may be a tad lucky. And wonderful moments, especially from Jonathan Gomez on the left from Lou City. But I think the fans will be happy with a draw. Brandenburg, well, I don't know if he's ever happy unless he gets a win. But well done the fans, well done both sides. Enjoyable entertainment.
For our tremendous USO crew and my broadcast partner, Gary Bailey, my name is Chris Whittingham signing off. It's Colorado Springs Switchbacks and Louisville City share the spoils.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.